And we're live. Happy Friday Night Live, everybody.
How's everyone doing?
Hey, we're all good. Good to see everybody. Thanks for having me back on again. Nice to be part of the regular lineup. Appreciate
That's
it.
it.
You will be for sure.
Now.
First team, right? First team player. We got Haydon up front, scoring in all the goals, top bins and stuff.
Got me in defence today, boys. Keep the attackers stable and steady.
Keep them fed, and then I think Sean will make a fashionably late entrance as per usual. You know, when you go to that event or that party and you've got that guy that comes in just when the music drops, that's going to be Sean coming in. We'll expect that energy coming in at some point. Yeah, guys, thanks for all joining in. I know it's been a few weeks for those of our regular followers that can't wait till a Friday Night Live. Probably haven't seen it for the last couple of weeks.
Recap
Friday Night Live. Yeah. But I think we've all been unwell. Sorry, I'm not sure. Haydon's probably been fighting fit as usual, but yeah, I think the vast majority of us have been unwell. But yeah, we're over that now. We're back and active again.
We're back. We are indeed. Right, let's get things started. Haydon, how do you want to get the ball rolling?
Want to get the ball rolling? I don't know. I could just launch back into it and give a lecture and get everything off my chest. But I think I've been playing around. I've been being a bit mischievous recently, to be honest with you, because I've launched this new blog because I'm kind of like annoyed about how slow things are going. I'm one of these people who tries to provide something annoying called thought leadership on LinkedIn. I always get annoyed when people do that. But then I thought, you know what? It's not making any difference. So I thought I'd make a satirical blog pointing out some absurdities within not just mining, but oil and gas, extractors in general. And it's good. It's going really well. People really appreciate bringing humor to the table to highlight some of the things that the elephants in the room that you never talk about at conferences. And I really like doing that. It's rocking the boat, but in a nice, fun way. That's the big thing for me.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of your posts, and it seems to have like high engagement, and also just people are really receptive to it, and they get it. They get what you're trying to imply, what you're trying to share. So it's nice to see that it's well received. You've been in mining for a while, so these are taboo subjects, which really shouldn't be that taboo. And I guess what was the main reason for you to even start voicing these type of opinions? Like usually it's something that it irritates you. It's an itch that's there. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
I guess the big thing for me was me making a really clear value proposition for why we need to rethink the way we communicate. Now, you do this very, very well when it comes to attracting the next generation of investors. But I am talking about communicating on the ground with local communities and how the ROI for doing that is just huge. But that you get to a point where you are, and I've used this analogy before, trying to shift the Titanic, and it gets too much. For me, I can see that the value proposition is very clear, but especially the junior sector is so wedded to the way they communicate, and the way they communicate for decades has been to speculators, specific kind, high risk speculators, and they really don't know any other way of doing it. And so I'm the kind of person who gets impatient. And so I thought, well, let's just try something different. Let's try humor. And everybody, nothing that I put on the blog is controversial. People find it funny because it's true. But at the same time, because it is humor, people don't mind so much sharing and talking about it, which is why the engagement has been high. And this is Substack. I'm new to Substack, but there's already like almost 8,000 people subscribed to that Substack. So, which is like ridiculous growth. And so what I should take about Varun, the engagement is suspiciously low given it's 8,000. And I think the reason for that is because, okay, everybody wants to read it, but then to share it, because it is still taboo, people don't want to do that so much, right? So that in itself is a red flag to me. We need to try to break.
A lot of lurkers, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it goes down on the internet. People have a read, but not that willing to share things. You see a lot. Me and Varun go through that often, right?
Yeah, I think Umar, you've probably put some quite direct, outrageous thoughts on mining
Yeah, I've
out there
stopped now.
previously. Yeah, not as much.
Stop now
Been
because I got
busy.
called out too many times. I was like, you know what? I don't want to smoke right now. I'm not ready for it, guys. I'm not ready
But what
for
was
it.
interesting is some people, like when we jump on calls with them, they'd be like, Umar, I love your content, love that piece. Whereas me and Umar, anybody that likes our content, engages us, we remember them because we feel that love. And then Umar's just like, I don't think they've ever liked any of my content. They haven't liked it.
Yeah, I know. It's actually
That's
surprising. Baron, I sent you some. So I thought let's jump into what's been going on in the markets. You've seen gold correct from, I think it was $4,350. People were saying, hey, the bubble's burst, but I don't think it has. I think we've got a long way to go in gold. I think JP Morgan put out a prediction that in 3 years it's going to around $8,000. Let's have a look at these charts. So that's JP Morgan's price, and it could double in 3 years. Even though it's had a sharp drop this week. Goldman Sachs. Sorry,
Umar, the sharp drop this last week.
It's just a correction. You have that market. You can't just go straight in a straight line all the way up. It's just it always has a little break, pull back, and then you do have people rebuying, I'd say. We'll go on the other charts in a sec, but on that one, the Goldman Sachs have targeted $4,900 by the end of 2026. That's the end of year target. You've seen a lot of central banks and institutional demand. And actually the next chart next to you is a good chart to what represents. If you zoom in, so gold rises. Yep. So that one's showing that gold now makes up to 30% of total global currency reserves, the most in 25 years, and its share has probably tripled in 7 years. Well, it has. At the same time, the US dollar has fallen by 15% points to 40%. That's major. So you're seeing people pick up gold reserves rather than having US treasuries, US dollars in the reserve. It's showing a huge play at a global scale. I think there is a chart that's showing how China's, I think me and Hayden had this chat before. It's probably not in there. Sorry, that's actually government debt. That's a good one on the right. It's a $38 trillion dollar debt. So it's like it's what it's showing is it's not going to slow down. Gold is not going to slow down as long as we've got this huge amount of debt in the in the US government. It's about to it's not going to slow down. If JP Morgan are coming out, and they're pretty good. I remember they put out, I think it was when Bitcoin was probably like $16,000. They were aiming for $100,000, and they've got that right. So I think they're pretty accurate with $8,000. Hayden, what do you think? What's going on in the markets? Do you think is the end of the cycle, or do you think it's just going to keep up?
Yeah, I think if you actually zoomed into 2025, and this like real pickup in the de-dollarization and the increase in gold price from around about August time has been creeping up gradually the whole time. But this is, I think, related very much to the tariffs, America's relationship with the world. It's really alienated their allies, and obviously not to mention their enemies. And I think, we have multiple factors at play here. You have China buying a lot of gold and selling a lot of dollars. You can see that directly in the gold prices there. China's buying as percentage, the US stocks going down as percentage, right? And so, and then you also have the BRICS countries getting way more organized, and other countries which are, typically friends with the US, such as Japan and South Korea, thinking about joining BRICS. There's even been there's even been talk about Canada joining BRICS. It's crazy.
Wow, imagine Canada.
This whole move of like, you know what? If you're not going to play nice, we're not going to
No.
use the dollar. Now, in Brazil, where I am, they have a completely independent, democratized payment system called PIX, P-I-X. It's totally decentralized, and now they're thinking about rolling out this in all the BRICS countries. So this would bypass the SWIFT IBAN system completely. And so again, you're kind of moving away from the traditional forms of investment, of reserves, of holdings. And the price of gold is just a reflection of this. So I think you're right. There's a long way to go with this. I don't know enough about it to say how big this could get, but I would probably go with JP Morgan in this case.
Yeah, that's interesting. Varun, I sent you 2 more charts that are pretty cool that I've found online. On Twitter, actually. Sorry, I don't know. So this is a cool chart, actually, if you zoom in a little bit. So this shows history of gold cycles. First gold cycle, you had an inflationary regime, central banks accumulating gold, lack of new discoveries, falling gold production. So that was in the 1970s, all this 1989, and now we're around since 2010 to now. You've kind of got central banks of accumulation of gold, which we've just discussed. We've got government debt, historical levels. What's that? G7 economies entering a manufacturing food revitalization. Yeah, cool. So there's a lot of shit going on, guys. There's so much going on. There's a whole list there, but it's.
I would say that there are a few things which could act as like negative feedbacks to gold. I mean, you could get. I mean, obviously, it's a safe reserve, so you could get the resolution of conflicts. So Gaza seems like it's cooling down. Ukraine, there's talk about Zelensky getting together with Putin soon. That could cool things down.
Yeah.
If that government debt gets to a certain point where I think they still haven't passed the budget, right? The government still shut down in the US. Gets to a certain point where the US has to suddenly realize, okay, it hasn't worked. So if they start to reduce tariffs, then suddenly people want to do business with the US. It's still the biggest economy. And then all of these things together, it could act as a suppressor on the price of gold. Okay. I mean, whether that's next year, the year after, or the next administration, it will come down. I think it has to.
I agree. I think you're definitely going to have a major correction. I'm not sure if we're there now, even though it moved around close to, I'd say 5%. It's sold off lately. It's holding, firmly above $4,000 at the moment. So we're having a definitely reaction, but I don't think it's going to, go back as much. These are cool charts, like what it's preparing for. China gold stock levels, 2009 to 2025, and you can see a massive increase of them purchasing gold. I think less trust in the dollar, especially after when Ukraine. It's a good point you're saying, Hayden, because when the Ukraine and Russia war happened, I think those sanctions played a big role, because those sanctions made a lot of the countries realize, hey, look, if we've got US treasuries or US capital, they can just freeze it anytime. And I think countries don't want that kind of control over them. So I think gold gives them a different type of play as well. And then you got obviously Japan as well, who's a huge US Treasury holder, is sharply declining, and they're buying up gold at an alarming rate. And I've got a few friends who work with refineries, import and export gold, and they're saying like the demand is absolutely massive for central banks. Like people are paying way over spot, 2-3% in Switzerland, and even Dubai. People are taking it 1%. They're buying raw gold refinery even for like a 1 or 2% discount. So there's a huge demand here on the physical side. And then we saw a huge play in silver as well. So I think it was London. Was it the London Exchange, the main one, ran out of silver? So that's a bit crazy. I feel like silver. I'm pretty sure silver's like the most the most shorted commodity on the earth. I swear it's like huge. I'll get the chart up in a sec, but we'll touch on silver as well. Silver's I feel like silver can get easily to $100. But yeah, it's exactly what you said, Hayden. There's there's all these big plays, but let's see what happens.
Think about it, but think about it for a second.
Mm-hmm.
China's this could be a. I mean, remember, I deal with community engagement, so please take whatever I say with a pinch of salt.
Sure.
But I see a situation where, okay, China sees U.S. government debt creeping up to 40 trillion, right? Owing 12 trillion and the interest just this year.
Mm-hmm.
They see the U.S. economy is a bit screwed right now. It makes sense to buy loads of gold. So just by the act of buying gold, they are already making a huge return because they are sucking that out of the market.
Yeah.
And so if that forces the US to play nicely and these geopolitical tensions, so again, it's in the cupboard. Sorry, that's my son there.
No, that's all right, mate.
If they've pumped the stock up and it's like that, then what happens if they just sell it all? When everything calms down again, they could just sell it and make an absolute killing. That could be another thing that happens.
Yeah. Do you think the US dollar, will still be the reserve currency, let's say in like 10 years? I know it's a broad question, but it's probably like 10, 20. Do you think it's going to get overtaken? Have we seen a Bitcoin play here? What do you think? It's going to change.
Again,
it's a hard one, right?
I doubt it. It's before that people are starting to feel now. I think they felt for a while that the US is not a reliable partner, and I think that people just want to. I mean, in the past, when they had that ridiculous, they were the only power in the world. They were able to use military strength to enforce the dollarization. But now with China and the BRICS getting organized, I don't think that's going to happen. I think people are going to move away from that more and more. And even go to crypto. It's already happening.
Yeah, no, for sure. Something that happened major in crypto today was CZ, the founder of Binance. He got pardoned by Trump. I think CZ pleaded guilty in 2023 to charges of failing to maintain an effective AML, anti-money laundering program at the firm in Binance. He was sentenced for 4 months in prison in 2024, and today he was basically pardoned. There's some funny stories floating online why he was pardoned. I know the Trump administration is very pro crypto. I think today he made a comment, the orange man to Trump. He was like, hey, maybe we'll put our 38 trillion debt into crypto, and then poof, is gone. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just like, how does that make sense?
What?
That's wild, right? That's wild. So I was watching some.
Wasn't he one of the main investors of FTX at some point?
CZ?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sam Bankman-Fried is his name, the one who got a load of jail time. He's probably turning in his cell right now. He's like, "Where's my pardon?" You know what I mean? Everyone's getting pardoned for all this fraud. Where's mine? So that's what we're out there. But no, crypto. Crypto is an interesting space right now. I think the value is 2.5 trillion. You know what? We need a fact checker here, guys. Someone on the ball, like Jamie from Joe Rogan. But yeah, I think that is actually I got it here. So Bitcoin is valued at 2.2 trillion, and gold's close to 30 trillion right now, 29 trillion. So it's not even bigger than. This is actually a cool chart to look at. I'll copy this one over. But yeah, so it's not actually more valuable than even Amazon, Bitcoin. And I think it's got, I think we've been saying this for a while. Like there's a huge play here. I think a lot of the more tech, I'd say tech savvy younger generation, they think gold is pointless. They feel like, hey, Bitcoin should be basically, it's the digital gold. And a lot of people saying it's going to go to, a million, go 5x easily to, like 10, 12 trillion. So yeah, see what goes on with Bitcoin. There's a lot of interesting. I'm not sure, to be honest. I think it's got it could easily do that if we have a massive event that impacts even things like silver and gold. But I don't know. I don't know what the play is here right now. To be honest, been out there. Sorry, man.
No, I mean, I'm talking about opening up like, more geopolitically. I mean, obviously, silver and gold, secure locations, right? But I'm kind of. Oh yeah, you want to pull something up there? Oh, okay. Bitcoin.
Yeah, just showing the market caps. Bitcoin, 2.2 trillion. Amazon, we got just a bit above. It's actually quite close to the value of Amazon. Silver, not as valuable as Google. Nvidia is a crazy one. 4.4 trillion is that? 4.46 trillion it's worth. That's crazy. It shows how how much in demand those processors, graphics cards, all the AI. The AI push is crazy right now. So it's like it's the AI golden age. It's time to sell them shovels like they do in gold.
Didn't they just say that they announced, or the CEO of NVIDIA announced that they were closing all the factories in China? Can't remember.
Yeah, I heard something like that. I think that was
they can't get access to the critical minerals that they need because China's embargo or something. So I can't quite remember.
Yeah, China, NVIDIA. Yeah, no, I heard something similar. I think it was. I think what China's doing is cracking down. They probably they put loads of tariffs on NVIDIA, and I think that's a geopolitical play for sure. They've got the noose around the rare earth minerals right now, and that's why you see the U.S. government, invest into numerous companies. I'm sure Hayden, you know the names of these. But yeah, it's a tough time right now.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because you have all these critical minerals, which are now in oversupply, right? There's actually a flood of it. And in fact, you've got like Australia saying we're just not going to do copper and lithium anymore. We're just not going to do it because it's just, I guess it's just not economically viable. And then
probably not.
You have the refining capacity. So all the rare earths, like in critical minerals in Africa, the ore just goes to China, where it's refined. They have 80% of the world's refining capacity, and they're still opening new refineries all the time. So they're able to hoard literally all of this stuff and not export it in order to keep the prices. It's basically an OPEC play, right? OPEC
that's true.
They'll turn the taps off to raise the prices, and so they have complete monopoly over this. There's nothing the world can do about it right now except what Trump is doing, and that is trying to facilitate permitting in the US. But it's hard because they have functioning institutes which actually push back against that, and lawsuits which are very effective. So it doesn't matter if they ease the permitting process in developed countries, they still have a very exercised local population and a functioning legislative branch who will just act against against the government in this case. But he's trying, but I don't think it's going to happen fast enough.
Yeah, it's a huge play right now. It's like East to be West, but it's like everyone will be everyone right now. It's like so much going on. It's so hard to keep up with the daily changes, especially when you got someone like Trump in the White House. It's so unpredictable. It's like he might just go on Truth Social, put something out, and the markets might just shoot up or shoot down, or people, other politicians will probably be like, what the hell's going on? And it creates crazy instability. I don't know if it's working or not, I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of people are tired of it. Some people say it's not president like, but I guess at least he says what's on his mind. I guess that's a positive.
It's volatility, right?
Yeah. Varun, what are your thoughts on everything?
Like we've had this discussion before. Obviously, like with gold, silver, the notion of like people are hedging it or looking at it compared to the dollar, right? But then you mentioned as well like the AI boom in context to this as well, and then China, Japan buying a hell of a lot of it. Is there a play here on just an NVIDIA example? Like all these AI processors require a lot of these these materials, I guess. And how does that fit into all of this as well? Because we are so in the early stages of AI still. And there was was it last year? There was a huge issue around the notion of supply and around processors as well, because there wasn't, people found it difficult to get hold of materials. And I'm just wondering how that kind of fits into this whole ecosystem of things as well. Is it
AI is pretty much built on rare earth. So I'll get up like what exactly materials. You must know, Haydon, right? You got the AI materials on there.
AI built on?
Yeah, like what rare earths do they use? It's
they use
processors.
Pretty much like all of the rare earths. You can possibly even gold, but it's like, I mean, I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying to pronounce.
Yeah, I can't pronounce them.
European, Prisium, Protactinium, whatever. There's so many, but yes, they all play a small but essential part in these processes, especially the high-end ones. And well, what can you do about it? So, in the past, what happened is that the US had a monopoly on this, and they restricted exports of AMD chips, for example, to China, the really high-end ones. So they got this is before the tariff wars. So they imported the rare earths. They made these really high-quality chips. And then what Trump 1 did in his first term, he restricted the export of those chips back to China. And then what China did is they have no choice. They had to innovate without those chips. So they created their own chips. And they actually got very good at doing that. Now they don't need the US anymore. So now they have all the rare earths, all the raw materials, and they have their homegrown high-quality chips, which wouldn't have happened in the first place if it wasn't for that first trade war. So, they hold all the cards. There's no getting away from it right now. I don't see what the way out is of that.
It's crazy because it feels like on an economic level, military level, innovation level, like it's all they're fighting against who can get all of these minerals, right? To be able to basically have the figurative ammo to battle on these playing fields, I guess.
For sure. I think it's a geopolitical weapon. It's just pulling the levers of, let's just say, import, exports, global trade pretty much. And it just, every time you pull a lever or China does something, it has a massive impact on different industries. If it's a cost implication or, they can't get the hardware fast enough. I swear, I saw a lot of stuff online. We also had, crash. Was it AWS crashed this week? So a lot of things were down. I think ChatGPT and Grok crashed as well. So they were down for, a day, not a day, probably about 6-7 hours. But, you're seeing a lot of, I don't know what the problem is. I know it was Diwali when it went down. So a lot of people were saying, oh,
so
someone said AWS means, what did they say? What was the acronym for it? Oh, sorry guys, I don't know. It always was Sanjay.
Always was Sanjay. So they even said that it took down basically half the internet, pretty much a lot of the internet. But a big reason was that as well is because I guess you're seeing a lot of organizations attempting to eliminate workforce through AI, right? So obviously something's happened, and when there is a critical issue that's occurred, it's probably best to have human support detect and resolve it, because what usually happens with AI in the workflows is that you need a human control in place to allow things to happen, right? If you just let AI deal with support and managing of stuff, we have no idea at times what it might be doing behind the scenes, right? So they'll always put these human controls in place. But it is interesting, it's actually around the same period that it was Diwali, basically.
That's funny.
I think what Umar's implying is that
the H-1B visas, what everyone goes on about. Yeah, so it was like, that was a funny little thing I saw online. I found that hilarious. I was like, oh, what are the chances? But I think Google. Yeah, sorry.
DNS, apparently it was a simple DNS failure. It was like a really simple thing. But I think what's meant to. I read a story about it. Was say it highlighted the importance and the fragility of the system. It's like so many of these massive data centers are on the U.S. West Coast. If one of them has a fault, then there's a cascading effect, and it's a disaster. So I understand that this highlights actually quite well why the US is so fragile right now. If this can happen, just this very simple failure, and has a cascading effect, that's crazy.
Yeah. And we also had Google come out with, they've been working on this quantum AI for a long time. So it's a huge leap. I think even Elon Musk was like, there's basically saying that quantum computing now is a good time to get in. Like he always does, he always gets in after someone's made a mad breakthrough. But yeah, so Google Quantum AI demonstrated that a quantum computer can successfully run a verifiable algorithm 13,000 times faster than the leading classical supercomputers. That's crazy. So I don't know what that means, but it just means that it's probably not that good. Or it could be good, actually. It could be good. Like, imagine how much, things could solve for cancer, etc. That's crazy computing power. It's actually
I'm
mad.
really excited by quantum computer. I think and not just the potential to solve real world problems, but the actual physics behind it is just so weird.
It's so weird the way it goes outside.
It's crazy. And so that's kind of what excites me most. But
Haydon, I'd love to, you've obviously dove quite in depth into this topic, but if you could just share us your I guess philosophies, what you know of quantum computing for a non-technical individual.
Oh my god!
Why are you putting on the spotlight?
Why?
No, because
guys, you're abusing me. I have a PhD in geology, right?
But Haydon, what me and Umar have realised with you.
Have you froze Haydon?
Yeah, he's frozen. We'll just give him a moment.
I'll bring you down and then I'll bring you back up. What's that, Haydon? Oh, we lost it. Oh, there you are. We're back now.
No, he's back. He's back.
Your connection's a little bit laggy, Haydon.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. I think you're. I'll drop you down quick till your connection gets better. I'll bring you back up in a sec, Haydon. I think you just froze out. That's all right. So yeah, let's get back to quantum computing. What I'm excited about is discoveries and in areas like medicine and material sciences. I think that's gonna be crazy.
Good, yeah, for sure. But you know what scares me, Umar? It's a weapon of mass destruction in its own right as well.
If it's in the wrong hands or it thinks by itself.
That's what it is, and what has history shown, right? So I think that's just that's just the thing I'm conscious of. Yeah, it will definitely, like you said, drug discoveries, like innovation, things that can happen, like 100%. But at the same time, it's
imagine they hit commercial scale for the demand. Oh, you're back. You're back, kid. Got you. Yeah, we were just saying.
Let's see what happens. I think I've moved over to 5G here, so I apologize for that. I don't know what happens.
No, that's all right, Hayden. It's all good. Now, we were just saying, just lead on that point, that, the discoveries in areas like medicine and material science are going to be huge. And we just think it's so much good in the environment saying, hey, things could go crazy if get in the wrong hands.
Yeah, which history has shown itself, right?
Well, yeah, let me just try and embarrass myself just a little bit by explaining what quantum computers is about. Because I think, as far as I know, they deal with these quantum qubits. So you're not just binary code. There's like a lot more possibilities, and you're dealing with something called this quantum wave function, which is basically a distribution of possibilities. Now, if you take it, it gets really technical, and the interpretations of quantum physics are a bit like it's open to debate about what really happens. But if you take the purest interpretation of quantum physics, what you're actually doing is exploiting multiple universes when you execute, when you send a function into the computer and ask for a result back, it's almost literally,
Wow.
it's almost literally going into parallel universes, right, and then pulling back the answer. Now, somebody, if they're watching this, is going to say to me, that's not right, or that's not exactly what happens. There are nuances there, and I get it. But all I would say to that is, I've listened to people who believe in the block universe and people who believe in multiverses. Sean Carroll, for example, huge fan of Sean Carroll. He actually says that, yes, every time there is a decision made at a quantum level and you observe that decision, you get the result back, you are literally forcing the universe to branch into different universes. And so
Hayden, it's so what you're saying is it's not essentially like sophisticated scenario mapping. It's something more than that.
it might be, listen to me, as I said, I'm a geologist. It could be both, but all I know is that if you think you understand quantum physics, you don't understand quantum physics, because even the world's most qualified quantum physicists actually don't know what is happening. That's how mysterious it is. We know it works. We know it works to a very high degree and is very testable all the time. We wouldn't have much of physics we have today if it wasn't for quantum physics. But the reality is much weirder than many of us actually appreciate. And the fact that we can actually contemplate using this mysterious stuff to solve stuff like protein folding and curing currently incurable diseases is just crazy. It's amazing. Amazing. Anyway,
Yeah.
getting slightly off topic there. Yeah.
No, that's fine. I love this
Umar,
quantum talk.
Yeah, no, it's funny, yeah, because look, we've got like basic AI right now at our hands, and everybody feels like they're God and
Genius.
all knowing and all genius. So imagine if everybody has access to their own computer.
When you dropped off, Hayden, I was saying to Varun, once Google Quantum gets to a stage where they can, commercialize the computer, and bring it into the private sector, if they do eventually, maybe 10 years or whenever they get to that stage, then it's going to be a very powerful tool for organizations in research, other departments. I'm sure defense will get it as well. It's going to be crazy.
But what does that look like practically speaking?
I don't know,
like,
honestly. I think you have
like,
to. Yeah,
what happens
I think
to
it's great
businesses
for research. Businesses still be around. I feel like it will just be AI times.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like the type of
1,000,000,000.
business it would be, right? It'd be a self-sustaining technological organism of a business, right?
Yeah, like people like Google, Amazon, these big corporations. I bet you'd be ridiculously priced as well.
Yeah, it wouldn't even require people.
Millions.
The work.
I think the humans be working on more keeping it cool, checking it out. Just making sure people are running engineers.
Umar, that's like
They'll
having
be
a 2,000-pound grizzly bear, and you're just like, you're right, mate, you're right, yeah. Like, it's to an extent uncontrollable. They don't know what they're dealing with to an extent,
for sure.
right?
No, for sure. Well, we'll pivot on to something else.
It'll help on mining,
down the
though.
rabbit hole.
It'll probably detect predictively like a hell of a lot of gold reserves, I imagine.
Yeah, actually true.
I think that's when you would get that. That's, I think, what people in AI call a singularity event. When you combine AI with quantum computing, there's a lot of scientists nowadays, very serious scientists, who believe that this mystery of consciousness that we thousands of years humans have figured out, tried to understand. How are we here? How are we thinking? How are we aware of this? It has a quantum basis. That's because it's literally our neurons. You go down, down, down. There are quantum effects that change the way we function, the way we think. So I think that when that gets to that meeting point, that marriage between AI and quantum, you're going to get a very, very powerful super intelligence. And at that point, I don't know. I'm not that optimistic for it. I don't know what's going to happen.
Interesting. Very interesting indeed.
buy more gold. Yeah.
Buy more gold. Buy silver and gold, guys. No, not
Actually, no. Probably the AI will figure that out before we do, and they'll buy it all itself. So
That's the thing, right? It's like it's like having millions of human beings thinking power in order one, or one window, and you can just tell it what to do.
It'll be able to, on a mass level, like influence, like society as a whole.
I think things like that are already happening.
Exactly.
Like I bet you the versions. Obviously, we're not going to go down those conspiracies and stuff, but there's way more powerful versions of this AI we use. I think we've got the nerfed version, which does the job. I think you can't. Some minds can apprehend the levels.
Yep.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to the deep end here, guys. I mean, I feel like I want a drink now.
Yeah.
I think
it's pub talk.
maybe I don't know what the listeners want to hear about. I don't know. They want, I don't know about the rise of Skynet. I'm not sure if that's what they want.
No,
But,
it's not for sure. Skynet.
But I don't know. Like bringing it back to like here and now. I'm going to go backtrack quite a long way in our conversation and say, okay, China, they're completely dominant. Europe and the US fumbling around, don't know what to do. Even just last week, German car manufacturers screwed, can't get the parts, can't get the minerals from China again, and so that's VW. And so the only way for our governments, Europe and the US and Canada, to actually get online those rare earths and those critical minerals that they need that China won't give them is to explore in their own backyards. And the only way for that to happen is not to steamroll local communities, which is what they want to do. They can't do that. Not in a developed country, they can't. Unless you become an authoritarian dictatorship, then you can do that. But let's assume that doesn't happen. The only way is to get consent. So that's where my interests lie, particularly because I am a specialist in getting consent. And so if you want to protect yourself from these global storms that are happening, you best learn to communicate more effectively with your, democratic citizens. Like that's what you need to do. And at the moment, there are some people who do that. Some companies do that, but most of them don't. Most of them, offer token promises which don't get delivered, and that's my flag I'm trying to fly at the moment.
Haydon, why do you think that? Why do you think some companies choose to do it? Is it a lack of resources, or they don't? They do or they don't? Is it a lack of resources? Is it operations? Is it the motivation behind it? Is it strategy? Or is it, they just, trying to make a quick buck, sell dreams and then, move on? What do you think the main driver behind it is? Is it just not? I know we were having this chat about ESG, how, the waves changed. We're entering a new age where, people don't care about ESG as much due to, you got, we always keep going back to Trump and their administration, but it does have a huge knock-on effect on major corporations and the way they think, because they know, hey, we're not going to get taxed harder, or we're not going to get any sanctions against us. We can just just like you said, steamroll through this and grab up this land. What are your thoughts on that?
There are multiple reasons why the status quo exists right now, and none of them are healthy reasons. But the biggest reason is the biggest reason is the simplest reason, and that's just habit. It's mostly the older generation who are in mining, close to retirement. They are the ones in senior positions, CEOs and the VPs, and simply that's the way it's always been done. And so it's first problem is education. That is it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how educatable these people are. So you have the majors such as BHP and Rio Tinto who are the safe bets. Yeah, they are. They have the monopoly. And who do they? Like the juniors look up to them. Who do they talk to? What kind of investor do they go? Well, they go for these kind of this is the way they communicate with investors. They have a very, very safe, whitewashed and greenwashed Instagram account and every other account. So juniors look at that and think, well, we want to be like them, or we want to be bought out by them. We should look like that, right? That's the goal. Yeah, and it just looks really safe and inauthentic. And so they also think that the only money, this is the second problem that I'm going on to now, is the whole financing system of juniors is built exclusively, I would say, pretty much exclusively to target high-risk investors, because it is considered a high-risk business. So you only get investors with a high-risk appetite, and those are not shareholders, they are speculators. Done. That's it. And so there's all these things going on, but so my real passion for this is like, okay, why is it risky? Right? How do we de-risk mining so that it becomes more attractive to other investor personas? That is what I am really passionate about. How can we do that? Because I think that's the only way you're going to get the capital into the system to actually explore, extract, and part of that is improving community relations, because you're only going to get those retail, ESG, crypto investors if you do have permission to operate on the ground. And so, all these things work together. But the reason why they don't do a good job with the ESG and stuff on the ground is because the speculators don't care. They're the ones who give the money.
That's true.
So the ones who give the money don't care. What incentive do the miners actually have?
What's interesting what you're saying here is that, you mentioned like BHP and Rio Tinto, like effectively running an oligopoly. They basically control, huge supply chains, influence pricing, and, face limited competition. And really all they're doing is ticking boxes. It's like it's a box ticking exercise, right? Yeah. As long as production continues and profits flow, there's a little pressure to change.
They just copy oil and gas, basically. That's what they do.
Yeah. So it's that, and it's but also, like, what's interesting what you're saying is if they are following these, the big players, the big players mainly deal with like institutional investors, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, not retail investors who might demand transparency. So they're probably following, the wrong crowd.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
so retail investors are different.
I heard this. I was having a chat with yesterday in Houston, not yesterday, sorry, last year in Houston, and it was bonkers what I was hearing about, and it was oil and gas because it's Houston, and so they were saying that these pension funds based in Texas, for example, but there are other ones who have the majority of their majority of people who have their pensions invested there are very conservative, very Republican. And so they don't want their money invested in ESG because ESG is liberal, right? It's Democrat. And so we don't want that. So even though the investment fund managers know that the ESG strong projects are more sustainable and give better returns, they either cannot invest in ESG projects because of those people who the money is in those funds, or they have to hide it. They have to hide the fact that they're investing in ESG projects just so that to not upset the pensioners. So you have this very perverse situation. I don't know what to do about it. It's crazy.
That's a
thing is, you know what I'm hearing as well. It's just this notion of like, my perspective on ESG, just like growing up and as an investor, as an individual that work with these type of organizations, it's just lip surface is what I felt like it's always been, especially for the larger organizations. oil and gas, you look at BP, Shell, we're aware of the impact they have. And it's almost, okay, guys, you make billions of dollars, probably a month.
It's a branding exercise, Varun.
It's a branding exercise. Yeah, it's like, hey, guys, can you just
exercise.
put like 0.0001% of that month's revenue and just do some ESG initiatives? And I think we as audiences, consumers, we're just well aware that at least on a larger enterprise scale, that's what it's for. But what's interesting about what Hayden's talking about, and we've probably seen it a lot with startups and scale-ups that are, B Corp certified, whether they're tech or direct to consumer goods. I think it's that notion of like, exploration companies almost trying to take ESG serious, doing that community outreach and buy-in properly, and it would actually make their project more sound. It's not lip service more than anything. What Hayden's kind of identified is it was a ridiculous stat that certain amount of like high percentage of projects don't even, are not actualized because of lack of community buy-in, right? Whereas that could actually be their foundations that they can build on, which is, if they're looking at these huge players, those are totally different beasts. A small junior is not a Rio Tinto. It's completely different makeup. So they are, Umar, I think you said it earlier, that they are looking at the wrong direction, at the wrong examples, the wrong inspiration, shall we say.
Yeah, I'll just add in as well. It's not just the big players, it's like who's funding them as well, the funds. The funds care more about dividends and stability than sustainability, I'd say. So ESG becomes more of a PR layer, not a driver of behavior. So it does, it's just all these movies, and it is about the money. So once, you get maybe retail investors, especially in the smaller cap companies or governments, once they start applying real pressure, ESG would, like I said, stay as a branding exercise, not really as a transformation. There does need to be real change. I think, we can go into crypto, the way retail behavior is quite an interest one. I know more and more, especially over the last 10 years, retail has had a bigger voice, especially through crypto, where you see, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, all these coins that have hit the market worth trillions and billions of dollars. One thing it showed was once retail pulled together capital, they are pretty much one of the biggest funds in the world collectively. Like as a whole, they're huge. That's an everyday person is pretty much a retail investor. So it is the crowd. And, everyone used to say back in the days, hey, don't follow the crowd, don't be a sheep. But it's kind of changed now. It's like, information travels so fast. So it's easy, especially now at this day and age, it's so easy to lose your reputation as a business, as people in general, investors, etc. It's like everything's out there in the open. Social media is pretty much instant. Things get around. The world is much smaller than you think as well. So I think the ESG play, I think it matters. I think it definitely matters. Investing into communities, making sure you do things the right way. I think it all boils down to the financial incentives. And
Umar, don't you think like ESG is just it should be that type of just a purpose-driven company that doesn't do harm, should just be just a genuine benchmark, as well as having a good product, for example.
Especially in mining, right? Though, I think you have a way bigger commitment in mining than a lot of industries. Of course, manufacturing, and I hate it, you could probably add to this. It's like, in mining, it's kind of like it's pretty destructive as well. It's a destructive activity, and you're not only impacting the environment, you're impacting the local communities. And there is good things that come off mining as well. You have dams being built, you have infrastructure, the local communities, especially in Africa. I've seen some mines. Which mine was it? I literally watched something. I'll think of it in a second. But there's like some really good projects that give back. They do a lot of stuff. But how much is it just for media, and how much is what are the real statistics?
Well, Okay, I gotta organize my thoughts here because there's a lot to say about that. Because yes, there are certainly. I don't even like to talk about ESG because like environmental, social,
No.
government. Government should be sorted out. The
Yeah.
environmental. Okay, look, let's cut like brass tacks. Mining has a reputational challenge. If you look at the surveys from McKinsey, 70 to 80% of youth would just not even consider mining as a career. And the NGOs and the charities which stand up for the planet are way better and more energized, getting their word out than any mining company on the planet. So the industry is totally outgunned on social media. They have a terrible reputation. Nobody trusts them. There's been corruption, yes. There's been disasters, yes. And nobody trusts them. So they could go to a community and say, look, we're going to invest in schools, health clinics, youth centers, ports, this, that, and the other. Doesn't work. Nobody trusts them. They said that so many times.
Yeah.
And you have very commodity rich countries in South America and in Africa who have terrible poverty even after decades. So people are right. I mean, Ritesh Dhawan, the CEO of ICMM, said himself, and he represents the biggest players in the industry. He said, for very good reason, mining is the only industry on the planet which is guilty until proven innocent. Right? He's very open about that. It is incumbent upon the player to prove, not to just put it on social media and just giving out tote bags and stuff like that to the local population, to prove what they're doing. As well as a retail investor, I think that they're looking for, a return on investment, obviously, and not to destroy the planet and not to destroy local communities. I don't think, forgive me, you correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I don't think that they're going to want to give money to a operation which is going to make people poorer in a local community. I don't think that works. But unfortunately,
Hayden. So I did a social media post, I think a couple of months ago maybe, where I asked this topic of where does that kind of fit into people's investment decisions. And people are quite transparent, whether it's a purchasing decision or investment decisions, that really what they care about first and foremost is return on investment. And then is it just the right thing to say that whether they truly think does it harm the community or whatever. It just comes down to people's values that they want to be perceived to be known as, right? So that's the tricky part is even on a individual human level, us is that lip service itself as well.
Well, I also think I know that people invest in crypto because they feel like they're investing into freedom and upside. They want to control something. They want the transparency. They want speed. Things are done really quick in the crypto realm, whereas like mining feels the opposite. It's slow, a lot of bureaucracy, dominated by a few giants, I say. And in crypto, you can own part of the network. So when you're part of Bitcoin, you can own a node if you want, if you've got enough money, or you can buy into a new crypto. In mining, you're lucky to even get a quarterly report. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's a different game. You're not getting that open source, narrative driven. You're just stuck in the corporate silo. It's got to communicate differently as well. I think that's what it is. A lack of communication to certain groups. That's what we're finding as well since we start looking into mining. Been looking into it as an investment for a while, but it's the communication is very slow compared to crypto, which is really fast, transparent, and it's community led. And I think that community side is so important. So to like catch the new wave of investors, it needs that fast communication. It needs to be more transparent, and that goes back into communities X, Y, Z. Doing things the right way. Otherwise, they will get exposed way quicker. It's quite hard to hide, environmental damage or local water wells getting polluted. than back in the days when you can get away with it.
But I think Varun's right. I mean, the number one priority is ROI. That's not a problem. But if you're going to invest a couple of thousand, it doesn't have to be big bucks. You're going to say, what am I investing in here? What is it? Now, just a tiny amount of due diligence on the part of the investor will reveal that, let's say, 90% of junior miners they technically exist. Let's put it that way, right? It's not like they exist on paper, but that drilling result, that drilling campaign, it's been pending for 2 years, right? There's no real incentive. There's nothing really tangible. Okay, it's a penny stock. You can have a 10x, 100x upside. Great, but it's still $2,000 I'm investing here. And given the history of the junior mining sector, then you could choose, okay, do I want to put my money there or with NVIDIA? I don't think there's any particular competition here. Unless you've got money to burn, unless you're really flush and you really like high-risk bets, I don't see the next generation thinking, okay, let's just do it. I don't know. You know better than me.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think, sorry, I just jumped. My bad, Varun. I was going to say, I lose my train of thought. I was going to say to Hayden, capital does get cold feet. The delays honestly kill the timelines, budget, so the money just flows elsewhere. Usually to faster moving sectors like tech or crypto, and it's just no one's going to wait for you to get your permit 2-3 years and all this, unless they're really believing in your story. So
15 years 15
years exactly. Sorry, Varun. Where were you?
Varun shaking his head.
I think what I was referring to earlier is when Hayden was, notion of whether you are gonna, as a retail investor, invest into the comparator. There's one comparator of investing into a junior versus NVIDIA, but really
even mid caps.
It's really the conversation around juniors and the penny stocks is, should I invest into this exploration company, which I don't know anything about, which looks super alien, doesn't look that cool, all the perception barriers that we've highlighted, or do I just go on Pump Fund and find some crypto? And
Varun, please go on to Pump Fund and share.
All right, let me change my VPN.
Platform where you can literally within minutes on an app make a token,
we can
go live like this, and it's crazy.
Give me 2 seconds whilst I change my VPN and sort that out.
You can't
teach me how to do that. Another
make a token in 2 minutes and pump it on Pump Fund. It's an interesting it's proper community driven. Me and Varun had a good old laugh at Varun's frozen. I'll bring you down, Varun. But me and Varun, we went on Pump Fund and there was some funny names like poop coin, this coin, that coin, but it's what the hell? But there's hundreds and thousands of people who are pretty much just pumping coins, and they'll say, hey, this is the utility for the coin, you can do XYZ with it, and then they just go on lives and show
it's hilarious. So what will end up happening is I'm getting it up. I'm just making sure that it's PG because a lot of people create some very inappropriate coins. And then there are tons of regular rug pullers. So I think last week I just sat down for a day and was viewing loads of coins, and you could just see the community saying, "Hey guys, don't invest into this coin. This guy rug pulled last week." And then what they end up doing is crazy retail, especially crypto investor psychology. Is this notion of how if they back a coin and they put their money into it and they're early, they will fly that flag so hard, and then you'll have swarms of about 40 to 50 people just going together across Twitter, X, led by the token founder.
Yeah.
And they will just basically raid and flood popular accounts. It's absolutely
That's crazy.
hilarious.
They
Let
pretty
me
much
just
flipped the script on like, how to launch tokens. You don't need a VC, no way in, just a wallet, a meme, and some momentum, and it's pure chaos. But it's like it's proper internet culture, community driven.
So let's
Yeah.
look
Real
at something
time.
featured. So mind you,
Oh, sorry.
even
So
check
here you
out
go,
this. Like Hayden, can
So
you see
this
my
is
screen?
Oh god. Oh dear.
Like, do you understand? Like, oh, this is like the level of
fuck.
sheer, like,
Oh my
Farcoin.
god,
It
guys.
hit like
Can you
375 million. Now, I'll go to featured, right? So, all right, is there something that that looks like it's doing
one
fairly decent?
tooth? Look at the one tooth.
Which one's that? Oh, this one. Yeah, okay. Well, one, two. So once again, the image, the name, it all plays a part. So this is down
This is
2.2%,
pure
but
internet
they're not
culture.
doing a live. Actually, Umar, we need to find a live, right? Where's the live? If there's someone doing a currently live, okay, and a decent, there's Bitpong,
Do you
just
know
buy
what it
one
shows
peso of
really
this
well?
coin. Come on.
Do you know what it shows really well is like, how retail can mobilize when there's no gatekeeper. It's like, they can just, anyone can log in. And even though it's quite silly, it's kind of like, what are the odds? Like, so like now this is a good comparison. You can go on Pump Fund with your $2,000, or you can put it into the juniors. So, it's like, what I would love to know
Or,
what's more profitable. Do you know what I mean? So
or
it's like a
Umar, you can
casino.
go create your own, right? That's the other
Mm.
thing, right? Now, like with people being able to vibe code, use tools like Cursor, Lovable, it's just about where people are going to invest their time and money now. And yeah, there's tools out there that they can use or they can participate in. So really, like the reason that this is also started to rise in popularity is, generative AI allows you to create a sorry, that is crazy. So another thing is as well is their tickers actually like impact their popularity as well.
Oh.
Let's
Yeah.
find.
You
Yeah,
already
there's a lot of
to make it token.
Guys, this is
the
sick, man.
Godfather
I'm telling
here.
you, this is
Yeah.
crazy.
But look at
It's
this. Look at
crazy.
this. So also, I think it says the developers sold at this point. And what's even
Tells you.
crazier is sometimes the community gets irritated and then they'll push it up even more.
It's crazy. The community is just like, okay. You know what I mean?
Like
We'll
this is
bankrupt the
actually
developer.
crazy.
There's
Yeah.
loads of comments on there. And they have all
Well,
the Discord. Yeah, sorry.
goodness, mate, I don't know what to say.
There were options, Hayden. So going back on your point is like, why would they care so much about investing into a mindset where they find it dirty, unsustainable, etc.? Is that perception when they can say, hey, you know what?
Okay, but the thing is, right? What you're saying, I mean, you could say this feels like it feels like it should be criminal, but it's not.
Yeah,
right?
exactly that. Yeah.
And the reason it's probably not is because there aren't technically any victims unless these kids are like using their parents' credit card or something. But
Yeah.
but in mining, this is real life. Okay,
It's real life.
People are actually impacted. So I don't know. Okay, first of all, I would say that it'll be interesting questions. The psychology of the people using pump.fund, would that translate to the real world with real impacts? Okay. Because they don't really seem to care. It's really just fun. That's why it's called fun, for Christ's sake. And then the other thing is, you shouldn't think that these things happen in the junior mining sector. People pump and dump penny stocks, junior mining sector. So, and you have exactly the phenomena that you just mentioned, where the creators of those coins, in this case, the creators of the junior mining company, buy their own stock, knowing that it is a pile of whatever, and then they sell it when it's high and leave everybody else holding the bag. So it's not This is not unique to Bitcoin.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so Hayden, on the topic, like I would say, like a platform, an ecosystem like Pump Fund it perfectly encapsulate the stereotype of what people imagine crypto like investors and traders and enthusiasts. I would say like where they know that it's just pure just banter is probably the best way I could put it, and there's really no utility. I could imagine even the people implying that there's utility as they're saying it on their live stream, they're probably trying their hardest not to laugh. But I think that is one spectrum of it. Then there's the other spectrum of people really who don't probably operate, don't go near anything like this. They think it's, just mud and not worth even being involved in, where there's a crypto and Web3 community which are always searching for utility. And these are people that are, now super curious about real world asset tokenization. And usually these are individuals. Umar, you've seen that already us a little bit informed about juniors or mining, but they just don't see enough liquidity in it. And those are the people that we really want to aim at, is those, I would say, more sophisticated in terms of not maybe their net worth, but just their due diligence that they want to do. So I think that's really where it's that market that I think mining as a whole should start to speak to and communicate to.
For sure. And I think going both of your points, I think it's very, they both rely on two things, right? Narrative and timing. Pump.fun has the hype cycles and memes. Mining has its news releases and drill results. Either way, you're basically trading for attention anyways. And when the sentiment shifts, both dump anyways. So it's kind of like, the retail, either way, retail gets caught chasing tops in both worlds. And whether it's the token that 10x's overnight or the junior market that spikes on the headline, it's the same, FOMO, the fear of missing out on the next big thing. So there's the similarities are there, and I agree with Hayden on that one. It's not new in Bitcoin, but it's very predictable. It's like, and I think what is with mining in particular, what I've realized is I feel like when you get bogged down with all these reports, press releases, etc., it just makes it sound more legitimate, even if it's not. So it just makes it way more confusing, and the confusion causes, hey, this must be proper mine. And but yeah, I guess at least with the meme coins, you get the memes out of it. You don't really get much either. So it's like, I think it's actually your appetite as an investor. If you're genuinely an investor who wants to invest and not gamble, then I think that also changes your odds, but it changes your risk appetite, and it changes the way you think and your psychology is, and you're way more formed. And you're not looking for it's a quick roulette spin. You're just hoping that you can land on a 10x and your number comes in and your stock comes in and you're off to the races. But it's really about, it is about educating investors. But I feel like the younger generation in particular doesn't really have an attention span. I know we could probably go in this for hours with TikTok, Instagram, etc. And it's like, how much information are they bogged down by? So they might literally make a decision on going on a comment section somewhere and someone saying, hey, or Reddit, be like, hey, look, this is a great stock. I made 5x on it. And then they're like, you know what? I could probably make 2-3x on top. Let me just get in. It sounds like, another 100 people are on the stock. I feel safe within this crowd. And that's what it is. I think the retail community on mining is there. There is, a lot of Telegram groups with individual mining stocks. I'm a part of some of them. There is groups, but they're not as large as the crypto groups.
Well, can I ask you a question? Personal question. Okay, I had two questions. I can only remember one now. Has your appetite as an investor, or has your investment behavior changed since you've had kids?
Changed massively. I think it's so when I originally got into investing, I'd probably, if Pump Fund was around, I'd probably put some money in there just for fun. But the way it's changed is, originally I was way more riskier because I was like, hey, I'm just looking, also in your investment journey, which is important, as in, I'd say once you consider yourself, hey, I think once you make a certain amount of money that it's your full-time income and you're a proper investor, I think that's when things start to change. When you start on the speculative markets, I think the first ones I was, just buying any crypto because I thought, hey, everything was going up, so you're just investing, you can get in and out really quick. There's not many checks were going on back then, so as an investor, you're like, hey, your friend might tell you, hey, you know what, invest in this tech stock, and you might just go for it, and you didn't do much DD. I think as I've grown older, I'm not looking for those fast returns. That's one thing. I'm not looking for, hey, I want to make this in 2 weeks. Because I've learned from past experiences that when you're, investing short term, like, 1 month, 2 month, quarterly, 6 month max. 6 months in your head is 6 months is like a long cycle. You're like, oh, I held this for 6 months. That's completely changed for me. It's like, I would rather invest into something more solid with steady gains over years rather than, hey, I'm gonna gonna make 5 times my money. Even though some juniors I've invested into have given me great returns, I feel like the only reason I invested in them because I did a lot of DD. And once I got, first of all, had a interview. Like, my process has completely changed. Before I just Google, do some research, go on Reddit, Instagram, wherever you're gonna find your from. X was huge. Then that's where I got a lot of my early on tips from. But it's completely changed. I want to know, like, the CEO. I want to have a chat. I want to get a good feel of what the organization, everything.
So I think you've just done. First of all, that is the way to make a lot of money in mining. What that strategy there, and the big players, the Sprout, the Rule, they are the ones who sit down with. They are known for interviewing the CEOs and accidentally knowing a little bit about geology too. So they really have, but like you said, this is the paradox. We want to get more retail investors in that, but nowadays kids, they just don't have the patience. Now, the reason I asked the question about the kids is hopefully, and Elon Musk is worried about birth rate and stuff, but these kids are eventually going to have children, and their priorities are going to change too. And the majority of wealth in that population pyramid is there, like above childbearing age. And so people are going to become more responsible, hopefully, in their 30s and 40s, right? Where most of the wealth is. That's going to be where they are going to have something, a tool, perhaps, I don't know, where they can. Well, not everyone can interview CEOs. Let's put it that way.
No, no.
So, but there
Quite
needs
lucky.
to be a way they can de-risk because they've got responsibilities. And so the money can actually flow into the sector. So I think that's for me that's an opportunity. I'll just
and I
leave it
think
at that.
no, for sure, Hayden. I think as we get to the future, there'll be better tools and AI, etc. There'll be so much more accessibility to investors. I feel like the ones that want to learn and want actually have a genuine interest in the market will make those informed decisions. And I think I genuinely think it's just a matter of time that especially mining and other industries will have to be more transparent. I feel like you won't be able to hide anymore. There'll be so much more information available to the individual. Like, think about it. I remember when I started in retail, I was in my head, I was like, yeah, my goal is, to eventually run my own fund. I was like, that was my dream. I was like, yes, I want to be a fund, I have my own fund but then I realized the reason these funds do so well, they have information faster than everyone else. They have, the best information, they have reliable sources, they have people in those companies, they know what's going on. And that's how they perform year after year. So, trying to keep up with that, you kind of need a fund, a small mini fund yourself, like as in like the operationally or the way the thinking is. So information is so key because even if you trade, let's say, gold, just as commodities, gold, silver, copper, even if you go forex, it's like when you have NFP or these big events, if a federal bank change happens or Trump tweets, etc., there's people, insiders, who already are on the right direction. By the time you find it out on BBC or Twitter or whatever, the move's already happened and it's already fading away. And it's like, you might join at the wrong time, you might make the wrong prediction, but you're always lagging behind. So, having some forward thinking or forward moving models that, are not, lagging, always helps as an investor. So I think eventually, well, there is some, I've got a few mini algorithms that I try to build. I don't use them though, I put it that way. I just go by gut now. If I just go by gut, if I get a good gut feel and a good information, I think that's good enough. It's not let me down yet. So,
well, yeah, you know that I'm doing some stuff in that space, and we're going to talk about that next week. But it's exciting stuff, and I think
that's what I'm leading up to, Haydon.
Yeah, no,
I'm trying to get you in there, plug you in, mate.
Dude. No, so I was going to ask you is it a difficult question? Oh, maybe not. Okay. I looked at your new website, which is sweet, by the way. Really nice. So who did that? Was it one of you guys? Was it you, Varun?
Yeah, just me and Umar over the last 2 weekends where we got time.
Like totally professional website.
Cheers, man.
Oh my god, so good. It makes mine look like a heap of rubbish. I mean,
we're going to sort you out. We're going to upgrade you, man. You're a regular team member now. Yeah, we are.
Oh my god, please. Anyway, listen. I saw that you've got a miner on there. Yeah, you're supporting a miner. Here's the thing. If you, all right, and I'm asking this question. I'll tell you why I ask you this question in a minute. If you interviewed a CEO and they said, we want to work with you, we want to revamp our website, we want to like really call for these new investor personas, like help us, and you looked at their operation, you think these guys are going to be really big in the future, really big. Would you do their website and their socials in exchange, not for money, but for equity in their operation?
For sure.
But I'll let you answer that.
No, that's part of our model. Like,
Okay, good.
Yeah, because we've had an operator, I can't probably say too much right now, approach us, and we took part payment in equity, because we're like, we like, so we have like this like test. What we do like, we make sure we can work with people first, and we always say, hey, look, if this paid engagement goes really well, we will love to, work with you guys, become an equity partner, and have that good relationship with you guys, because we do feel like and it just makes sense. It just makes sense. Like with good companies.
On that, yes, exactly that. So I think me and Umar, the last 2-3 years that we've been working together and with Outliers, we get equity thrown around a lot towards us, and but what we've got to a stage of now, and as Umar kind of alluded to, is if we really, it really comes down to, we will only even consider getting any form of equity if there's two things. One, the leadership, the founders, the people that we're engaging with them, do we trust them? Are they credible? Do we like them? Can we see a long-term relationship with them? And also, do they value us and hear our ideas? And then the second thing is what you've alluded to, is operationally as a business, their projects, even though, from a geological perspective, we might not be as technical, it's, we can lean on people like yourself and others to help us with a bit of that DD. But if we get a good gut feel of the project, and it feels a complete opposite of a rug pull, then those two factors are usually where, and then usually they naturally would bring it up before we, and me and Umar already know we're on a Zoom call, we're chatting in WhatsApp, and all these guys are really cool. I think these guys, we can consider doing some form of an engagement to make it work. So, and what's interesting is, when we look at these organizations, it's almost, we do actually kind of, Umar, look at it from a perspective of a retail investor, right? Without even realizing, we think, oh, you know what? I really like this individual. They're coming across really well. Their story's good. They got vision. And this looks like a company that in
and they want to
10
do
years
stuff the right
time,
way.
yeah. And I think
we definitely have had the instances where someone's pulled us into like a London pub and like offered us 50% of their mind, and we're just looking at each other like, what is going on here? And it just sounds like a rug pull. Yeah, honestly, like, I'll just be transparent. The individual's not watching this for sure.
Even if they are, they shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, no, but yeah, I think that's another thing. Is it there is projects, people out there that are doing.
How about you, Hayden,
right
as well?
reasons.
Like, do you feel like that as well? Is that your thinking behind it? If you want to work with an individual or a company, is that something you'd consider?
Oh yeah, definitely. So there's two. I said I would tell you the reason for that question is that it's because I know that there's some mining media companies, and these are just, they go to the trade shows, they interview guests, and they interview juniors, and often they will accept, equity to do those interviews and give that company visibility. So, okay, you can question if that's ethical or not. That's the reality. Personally, yes. So actually, I'm relatively new to consultancy right now, but I see a huge demand for a different way of communicating with local communities. So I will give them a playbook. I will go into the field. I will train their staff, and if needs be an mediator between the local community as someone who's not attached to the mining company, who doesn't have their brand, for example. So someone you can actually build that trust. And so I have a fixed fee for doing that, right, which is non-refundable. But I bring that price right rock bottom, almost just for overheads like flights, for example, in exchange for guarantees. Now, if your project does not get off the ground in X period of time, or we don't unlock this problem that you've got, I don't get any more money, something like that. So and I would accept equity in exchange for that too, not just money. So I think, but the only reason, that's a huge risk to me, but the only reason I would do that is if I did my DD just like you, I knew the operation inside out, and I had to be absolutely sure that there's nothing unethical going on which could compromise me and my company. So yeah, I don't see any problem with that. I think it's a good way forward.
Makes sense. Oh, for sure, for sure. I think we're hitting that hour and a half mark. I think it's an early finish for us today, guys. All right, but that was a good way to wrap it up. I think we're definitely aligned. And the next show, guys, will be way more structured. We did try to bring some in today for sure. It's our fifth rodeo. So
yeah, 6 if you include the original, right?
yeah,
Mining
but
Meets Digital, which
now you'll see Hayden as our host as well regularly. We
definitely.
hope so. Yeah,
Sean missed
sure.
out today.
Missing Sean.
Sean.
He's having good fun. Yeah, for sure.
Well, you guys have a great evening. Apparently, we are having fondue, which is a bit weird for Brazil because it's like
that sounds cool though.
Yeah.
Enjoy your fondue, Hayden.
Never had fondue. Enjoy it. I imagine it's going to be extremely tasty. So I think Umar, I don't know what you're going to have tonight.
No, you know what I'm looking to do, guys? I'm looking to go home and play Battlefields. I'm just telling you guys, it's the weekend. I want to play some gaming. I want to chill out. Just have some fun. And I'm hoping to see Varun on there. Thank you, Hayden, Varun, and everyone who tuned in. I'll catch you guys next week.
All right.
See ya.
Create.
See you guys.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.